It's Christmas time. Is anybody else as excited as I am about the holiday season? I think we all have an idea of what things need to happen in order for it to be the best Christmas ever. And that leads me to a question. What would make this Christmas your best Christmas ever? Think big. No financial limits, no restrictions, no Christmas dream is too big. So let's do a little exercise together. I'm gonna give you a few scenarios and I want you to tell me in the comments which of the following, if you had to choose, would make your best Christmas. Put your answers in the comments below. Unlimited hot cocoa or unlimited cookies? All of your family together around the tree, or quiet time in your room to yourself? Put your answer in the comments. Listening to Christmas music nonstop, or watching Christmas movie marathons? Getting a bunch of small presents, or getting one big present? Which is the best? Put your answer in the comments. The point is this, we all have our own ideas of what would make this our best Christmas ever. Let me tell you about one of mine. My best Christmas that I can remember was the year I got 2 guitars. I was in 8th grade, I'd been learning guitar on my dad's acoustic guitar, and my parents got me a bass guitar and a red Stratocaster electric guitar with the Line 6 effects amp. And I'm pretty sure just about every evening for the rest of my high school career was spent in my room practicing on that thing. I started playing on praise team at church, I got heavily involved in worship leading in college, and it greatly impacted what I do now as an adult. Okay, so maybe a lot of the stuff on our Christmas dream lists might not happen this year, but it's fun to imagine, isn't it? It's fun to think about what we'd do if we had complete and total control to make this Christmas the best Christmas ever. But obviously we don't have complete and total control over the way things work at Christmas or otherwise because, well, we're not God. I mean, if any of us actually were God, we'd probably make some pretty crazy things happen, right?
Like maybe making homework go away for like ever?
Yes, Jack. I was gonna say something like that. Sorry. Yeah, remember our agreement? If this is gonna work, you have to help me behind the camera, okay? This is my job to do the presenting, okay? Okay, sorry about that. The reason I think it's so easy for us to come up with things that we do or not do if we were God is because we all have this idea of what we think God does and doesn't do. We have an idea of how the whole faith thing works, and usually it falls into one of 2 categories, good or bad. In other words, we think God will do something for us if we're good,
like if we go to church or read our Bibles or treat people well.
Yes, Jack. Or he'll do something to us if we're bad.
Like when you...
No, Jack, we don't actually need any help on that one.
Oh, so yeah, sorry.
We think God rewards our good choices and behavior, and that's what we think faith is all about. With this mentality, we can be tempted to think that God is like an angry adult. We think he's just watching and waiting to catch us breaking his rules, and when he does, he'll definitely punish us. But can I tell you something? I don't think either of these things really represent who God is or the way our faith works. And here's why. They're all about our behavior. In other words, we think that our relationship with God is based on our behavior, which means that we think that our standing with God is within our control. But again, it's not. And honestly, I understand why we think about God this way because it's how many of our other relationships work. When you do your chores at home, you get an allowance. And when you do well on your assignments, your teacher gives you an A. But when you bomb it, you walk away with an F. So it makes sense that we would think the same thing is true for our relationship with God. We think that God came to help us or hurt us, and that's pretty much it. But what if there was more to it? What if our relationship with God was different than other relationships? What if Christmas represents a shift in this kind of thinking about God? Let's take a look at something from Matthew's Gospel. Matthew told us that these 2 people, Joseph and Mary, were pledged to be married. That means that they were engaged. And during their engagement, an angel came to Mary to tell her that she was pregnant and the child was going to be Jesus, the Savior of the world. Now this was especially crazy because Mary was a virgin, meaning that she and Joseph had not done anything that could result in a baby. And on top of that, to be pregnant and not married during this time was a huge deal. When Joseph found out about the baby, he planned to break it off with Mary. But then he changed his mind after an angel came to him too. And what the angel told Joseph about the baby Mary was carrying is something I think can help us understand more about who God really is this Christmas. So let's take a look. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus. He will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. See, up to this point, people were looking for the Savior. They were looking for the one that God had promised would come and save them from their sins. And I think just like us, they had a lot of different ideas about what he'd be like. Maybe they thought he would come as a king with lots of applause and celebration, or maybe they thought he would come as a mighty warrior and save them from everyone else that was against them. Or maybe they thought that he would come riding on a cloud of smoke or something so glorious that there would be no doubt he was God. But what really happened was different. God came in a way that nobody expected. He came as a baby to a young, poor couple. No glamour, no celebration, no special attention, just Jesus. He came quietly to earth to save us, to love us, to show us one really important thing that the angel reminded Joseph, that God is with us. That's why he came. God came into the world to be with us. And this is so important because up to this point, people saw God a lot like we do. Distant, far away, unreachable, only concerned with how we act, there to reward or to punish, and that's it. But the promise of Christmas isn't that God came to do whatever we want for him to do. It isn't that he came because he wants us to behave a certain way. It's simply that
God is with us. And that's a pretty big deal, isn't it? I think we've all come to understand what it means to be with someone in a different way this year. When the COVID-19 crisis began, we couldn't even be with each other. I don't know about you, but it made me realize just how important connection really is. It's made me appreciate how important it is to be with someone else. And that's what God does for us. He's with us, whether you believe in him or not. He's with you. Whether you're doing everything right or getting some things wrong, he's with you. God is with us, and that's what makes the best Christmas ever.
That was actually really good.
Thanks, man.
I love you, man.
I love you, man.
Now get back behind the camera.
Oh.
So what does this mean for you? I think it comes down to three very important things. Number one, remember that God is with you. Start with this. For some, Christmas is hard. It's anything but merry and bright. But it's important to know that God is with you in it. He chose to be with you. When your family is fighting, when you're bored at home on break, when you're having fun at the ugly sweater Christmas party, when you're feeling disappointed, God is with you in all of those moments. And that's worth remembering this year. Secondly, spend time with God. In all the Christmas craziness, make time to spend with God. Read the Bible, pray, listen to music, journal your prayers and thoughts. Separate yourself for even a few minutes a day to spend time with God. After all, that's why he came, to be with you. And number three, spend time with other people. God created us to be with other people. All around you, there are people who need you, people who need God. Maybe it's your family, your friends, a neighbor, or a classmate. Maybe it's even spending time with people in your small group. Whoever it is for you, make an effort to slow down and be with those people too. Share some of this season with them and help make their Christmas the best Christmas ever. Remember, God is with us. And this Christmas, I think that's the best news ever. Now, service is about to begin in just a few moments, but while you're waiting, I want you to put in the comments an answer to this question. What's one thing I'm excited about this Christmas? All right, thank you for tuning in this morning and being a part of what's happening here at Victory. Stay tuned and we'll be right back with this week's worship gathering in week 3 of Wreck the Halls.